I think that vision and mission are very confusing to people, and they even think of the same thing sometimes. They confuse the two. I think you've got a good description of it, with vision being something where you want to be when your company's done, right?
Right.
And that's not attainable.
No, and you can't ever reach the North Star, but you can go north, right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be anything, except it has to be meaningful to you. And you didn't just use platitudes and write something to put on your website. What Jeff's Finney's, the most efficient cabinet component manufacturer in the world, is an unusual mission or vision. I think if you went to a workshop, people might say, what? But that's who he is. That is what he is doing. Other things like profitability, pleased customers, happy employees come from that vision. But that's who he is. I was thinking of good visions this morning and trying to come up with some good examples. There's a TV show on HGTV called Hometown, and the vision is kind of expressed right there in the title. And they don't say this is our vision, but it is very obvious that what they're doing is they're revitalizing the small town that they love. It's their hometown. Okay. They say that different ways, as you walk through it, but it's very obvious that that's what they're doing. And in fact, I think they've done about 55, 56 houses that they've remodeled, rejuvenated, derelict houses, not all of them. Various states have been in derelict, and they remodel them and rejuvenate them. And they're making this little town vital. Of course, it doesn't hurt that you're on TV 24/7. But they wanted to preserve and revitalize their dying, small, rural Mississippi town, and they've done it. And that's obvious in everything they talk about and everything they do, their love for the community and the people they serve. So that's their vision.
Google has a good one.
Yeah, Google
had. Maybe they changed it.
Well, we'll still use it because you can find it. But Google's vision is all the information in the world organized and accessible.
Yeah.
That will never happen. But that's why we take Google Earth and Street View and Google Maps totally for granted. Those were just created to fulfill that mission or that vision for their company. And there's so much more, Google Mail and Messenger. And I would have to sit and think all these things I take for granted that Google came up with to assist us with finding information. And
did I ever tell you about Google X?
No.
Google X, I don't even remember the vision, but it's something along the lines of like discover the impossible. Like we don't really know what's impossible, but we like have to define it and discover it. And basically they would hire teams. They put, I don't know if it was like teams of 3 or whatever, but they'd have these pods at Google X, and they would have to find something that's impossible and prove that's an impossible thing to do. That was their job. So find something that's impossible.
Wow.
And then prove that it's impossible.
Yeah.
And through that process, they came up with products like Google Earth, like Google Maps, like all these different things. Google My Business, I think, was even one of those. But yeah, it just really created all these ideas for possible products by trying to find out what was impossible.
Right.
And
they were not initially driven by the profit motive to do that because they didn't know if they could do it, and they didn't know if anybody would want to buy it or pay for it.
Right.
And I don't think I pay for Google Maps. I probably do somewhere.
Yeah, all that data is going to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but still sticking on vision, if you're listening and you're saying, I don't really have a vision, I want people to take their heads out of platitudes and don't take it out of saying differentiate our contact and create the most innovative, profitable entertainment experiences and related products in the world. The language that makes it sound important, and you say, here's one, and this works for anybody. Our vision is to be the contractor of choice for every homeowner in the OKC metro area. If that's a plausible vision. Our vision is to delight families, both our customers and our employees, right? Our vision is to be known as the communication company, right? Those are things that if you were to accomplish that, you would differentiate yourself and people can buy into it. People can be guided by that and think to themselves, an employee out on the job, think to him or herself, am what I'm doing right now delighting our customers? Is it making this a better experience for this family that I'm working on remodeling their house? Or is it making the life easier for the general contractor's project manager? Am I communicating well? Am I holding up my end of the bargain? Because our purpose is to delight our customers or delight families. And you as the owner, if part of your vision is to delight families, including those of our employees, then you say, am what I'm doing right now improving the life of my employees? I want to be the employer of choice for professionals in our industry. And that, in fact, is Diane's. She has a 2-sentence statement of a vision, and it's this: to be the clinic of choice for moms. And that's very meaningful in their business because moms are worried about, she does as a pediatric practice, and they're all concerned about their children. And the second thing is to be the clinic of choice for the best speech language pathology, OT, and PT therapists. Okay. So, and she lives by that. She has to delight the moms, at least give them confidence and somebody to talk to. And she has to be the place where every highly qualified speech pathologist, occupational therapist, physical therapist wants to work. And those guide a large number of our decisions, including this move. Anyway, I won't go into all of that. But that's her vision. Her mission, which we really haven't described yet, is we exist to improve the lives of children and their families, or her clients, not children. Right. They are children. That's what they exist for. We can get all wordy about it and say by improving their communication ability and their functional physical abilities and things like that. We don't have to. Are we improving the lives of our clients and their families? Yes or no? That's a guiding principle, and you don't have to write that all out and use a bunch of big words. So, yeah. So I encourage people to think about the vision, not to think in terms of what sounds good on my website, but to think in terms of what do I really want? This business would be awesome if it were fully organized, if it had systems and processes, if everybody wanted to work here, if the only reason anybody buys from anybody else is because we're so far booked out, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you think along those lines of what do you really want and what would a perfect business look like in the future? And that's your vision.
Yeah. And obviously we've spent quite a bit of time talking about this vision, but it's because it's so important. And, once you have nailed that down, really everything does fall into place. Everything else that we're going to talk about today is really easy to make a plan of action for. Like, hey, I need you to go set some goals. It's easier. Right. It's not necessarily like very straightforward, but I need you to go set some goals. I need you to outline some of the values that you have. I need you to go and write an org chart. I need you to create a system. There's a really actionable step to that.
Right.
But if you don't have a vision, you're probably doing it in vain. Right. And that's why that's so important to have that vision first.